Hello friends, today we're going to be talking about how to manage a short-term rental property. So how do you manage a short-term rental property? Are there little details that can set your property above the competition? Well, there absolutely is, and by the end of this video, I will show you how to manage your short-term rental property to be one of the best investments you've ever made. There's numerous ways to skin a cat when it comes to managing short-term rental properties. But is there a management path that leads to better reviews and higher profitability? There is a path that does just that, and I want to dive into that topic. I'll first give you a rundown of all short-term rental management by explaining to you the different ways to manage short-term rental properties. Next, I will go over the pros and cons of both. And next, I'll give you the roadmap of self-management to help you maximize your profits and get the best reviews out there. If you're ready, let's go. So what are the different ways to manage your short-term rental property? There's basically three different ways. There's full management, half management, self-management. Let's dive into those. First off, what is a full property management system look like? Now, this is a company that you hire and they do everything, right? From the guest communication to collecting payments, to getting the cleaners in there, the maintenance, replacing things, they do it all. The whole point behind this is for you to have to do nothing and them to take care of your investment. Now, in my history of doing short-term rentals and owning them, I've done them both ways, actually all the ways. So I can speak a little bit to how they work and how efficient they are. For example, currently on one of our short-term rentals in Island Park, Idaho, close to Yellowstone, we use a full service management company and they do an amazing job. The company's called Cabino and they do it all. When we first bought the property up there, the gentleman we bought it from was utilizing Cabino at its fullest capacity. They have a scale that you can pay them anywhere between 25 to 40%. He was paying 40%. This means that Cabino even paid the bills for them. They never had to worry about anything when associated with the properties. With us, we decided to go with the 25% route, which means we have to pay the bills, we have to get a few of the furnishings, we have to pay an annual fee to get updated pictures, those type of things, but that was well worth it to us, especially when you have income well over $125,000, $150,000. That 15% difference from 40 to 25% is significant. But they have done a great job. We've worried less and less about this property. They maintain and change everything if needed and do a great job for us. The reporting's awesome. We can log into their website. We can see everything we need to see. They've done a great job. But there are places that charge a ton for this, and I understand why. And we've seen it both ways. We do full property management in Florida, but because there's such high competition there, and because the homes are so close together that they don't have to travel too far between properties, unlike Island Park, Idaho or Blue Ridge, Georgia, they only charge 10% for full management fee, and they do an amazing job as well. So I've seen it from both places, where it's a little bit less expensive, all the way up to 40%. And that is what you're going to be charged for full service management, anywhere between 10 to 40%. If you're in a city that is highly accessible, there's a lot of competition, you're probably closer to 10 to 20%. But if you're in a more rural area with a short-term rental, you're probably closer to 25 to 40%. The next one I call a half service management company. And these are companies out there like Vacasa or Evolve. And what does half service mean? Well, just like it sounds, they do half the service. They do the bookings, the guest communication, they do the reviews, but they do not do like the cleaners or maintenance. That is something that they pass off to you. A lot of these companies have very good referrals to send you on the cleaning or the maintenance or photography, but you have to reach out to them and schedule it. When we first bought our place in Blue Ridge, Georgia, it wasn't a vacation rental at the time or a short-term rental. We had to turn it into a short-term rental, get all the permitting and everything. But what we were able to do is we decided, you know what, I don't know if we're comfortable managing it ourselves right now. Let's hire Evolve. We hired Evolve and they did an amazing job. Super happy with Evolve. They have a portal that you can log into. You can see all the information, and they got us connected with some cleaners. They got us connected with some maintenance people. They got us connected with some photographer, went over and took professional pictures of the property, which made a world of difference, which I highly recommend to do. But eventually after a year, we felt comfortable watching what they were doing that we took it over ourselves to self-manage. But those are good options if you want to pay a little bit less, but don't have to worry about everything, right? If you don't want to put your bookings up there on Airbnb or Vrbo or get guest reviews, that's what these companies can do. Now, there is a difference in price. Evolve was only 10% of the annual revenue. Vacasa is 25%. They claim they do a lot more, but I don't have enough experience with them to tell you what those differences are, but that 15% seems pretty significant. Even just dropping Evolve and doing it ourselves, when we were making over $80,000 a year, was an $8,000 swing in our favor for more revenue. And finally, let's talk self-management. We do that on 3 of our 5 properties are all self-managed, but you do everything from the bookings to the payments, to the guest reviews, to the cleaners, to the maintenance, everything. Now this seems like a lot, but it's usually front-loaded, meaning you've got to do a lot of things up front. You got to get the professional pictures, you've got to get the cleaners in place, and you've got to get systems in place to run the cleaners, the maintenance, everything. But once that is in place, it actually runs pretty smooth. But another thing with self-managed that's really important is communicating with those guests on a regular basis. And I will actually dive into this a little bit more at the end of the video on things you can do that as a self-manager to make all the difference to help you become a super host. So what are the pros and cons of each? It really comes down to time and money, which are the most important things in any investment that you're doing. And obviously, what do you value most? If you're somebody that's super busy, let's say a lot of kids activities, your work is demanding, and same thing with your wife, if you own it jointly, regardless, if you are super busy and time is your most important asset, you might decide to go with a full property management company that does everything for you. And that is an option. If you have the funds to do it, if you have the margins in your short-term rental business to do that, that's a great option. But if you value money more than that, if you have a little bit of time, and like I said, self-management, it becomes a little bit of time over time after you've done the initial hard things initially, and it makes a world of difference. One of our short-term rentals in Island Park, we have 2 up there, one we self-manage, and both of them do roughly about $150,000 a year. And if you think about 25% of $150,000, that's $37,500 that in one of our properties we keep, the other one we give away to a management. Now we're happy with the management, so it's hard to let that go, but that's a lot of money when you consider paying that to yourself or to a management company. So really it comes down to time or money. And if you ask me what my opinion is, I'll probably go with self-management because nobody cares more about your profit than you do. And as I mentioned, self-management actually becomes much easier the longer you're in business. Here are a few tips for self-management that'll really help set you apart. So number one thing that I learned early on that's really important when it comes to self-managing is be quick to respond. You're gonna get a lot of comments, a lot of inquiries on Airbnb or Vrbo. If you do not respond quickly, that is gonna set the tone for the entire conversation that you're gonna have with that guest. Also remember, if they're inquiring on your property, chances are they're doing what? Inquiring on other properties as well. And if you don't respond quickly, they're gonna find something else. And I know that can be super annoying, especially if you're busy, you're at work, you're out with the family, you're at dinner, whatever it might be. If you just let your family or friends, coworkers know, like, listen, I'm running my short-term rental. If somebody sends me a question, I've got to respond fairly quickly. If you get in that habit of doing that, you're going to be just fine, and it's going to make a world of difference. If you respond quickly and they end up booking your property, that is a tone that is set all the way throughout the experience, and they will know that you're the type of person that's going to communicate and respond quickly to any concerns that they have, and it's going to make them more comfortable booking your place. Second thing is you're going to want to get on all of the local Facebook pages. I talk about this quite a bit, but this has been a game changer for us and saved my bacon more than a few times. There's a time where something went out on one of our properties. I needed somebody quickly to do a job. I got on the Facebook group for all things Blue Ridge, Georgia, and just commented, is there anybody that you can recommend to do this? Immediately, I got 4, 5, 6 responses, called one of them, and they were immediately done. One time our cleaners didn't show up for a job. We had to part ways with our cleaners. Same thing, I got on there. I was referred numerous different cleaners that were highly recommended, and the referral's almost done on Facebook because people are referring them to you, and they've been great ever since. So being on those pages is super important to be able to find handyman, cleaners. We once needed a ride for one of our guests from Blue Ridge, Georgia to the Atlanta airport, found it there. Needed somebody to replace part in our dryer up in Island Park, found it on those pages. All those pages have been a game changer and saved our bacon numerous times. Last thing I'll say, and I recommend, is having canned responses that have tons of good information in them. Anytime somebody books your place, send that out to them, or before they arrive, letting them know the best places to eat, best places to visit, the things to do. And I have a section called Hidden Gems, places that they might not know about. For example, in the summertime up around Island Park, about 40 minutes from our cabin, there is a place, breakfast place that is right on the Madison River that is the coolest experience. They have these huge cinnamon rolls that take up the entire plate with butter on them. It's amazing. I'm making myself hungry just talking about it. But just giving a few of those tips to people, I've received so many comments saying thank you so much. But having that in your guest book or sent out to people when they arrive can really make a difference on them having a wonderful experience or a so-so experience. So these are things that I've done, that I've experienced with management on the short-term rentals that I own. I'd be interested in see what you have to say, what experiences you've had. Please comment below. Let's engage in a dialogue. And as always, I've got that free gift for you. It's my short-term rental calculator calculator, something I've used to evaluate all of the short-term rentals I bought and I'm currently looking at. You put in the revenue, expenses, it spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not, and it's free just for stopping by. Click on the link below, aaronsfreetraining.com. Once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.